taking slides on your zone every day.
And I'm back. What's going on, you guys? Woo! Shit, man. Feels good to be back. What's going on, babies? Can you guys hear me right now? I'm running a new mic setup. Can y'all hear me? Let's get it. Yeah. Sex, baby, sex. Hi, Dad. Hey. All right, cool. You can hear me. Perfect. Yeah, the walls got painted. Which is really cool, man. Loud and clear. Yeah. New lights. No, I've got more lights. I've got about 4 of them now. So I've got 1, 2, 3, and then 4. So right now it's out here right now on the lights. I'm pretty sure you could see me from space. That is correct. Blocks Grim Gamer, man. Only high value men get sex. That's correct. And SOLIDsex. I have this whole stream right here is dedicated to all the fuckery and crazy shit that's been going on Phantom with SOLIDsex, Solid token, the sex token, OxDAO, Weave token. Jesus Christ, there's a lot going on right now, and it took me a minute to decipher it. I kind of got it pretty much down within a day and a half, 2 days. But then there was more fuckery going on in the background that needed me. It basically there's a reason I chose that Pepe as the actual thumbnail for the video. It's a clusterfuck, and it's a giant. It's a giant conspiracy theory in terms of just how much little backstabbing is going on in the competition that's going on right now. And there's a lot of money at stake. And basically what's really going on is that Phantom essentially got upgraded. It's increasingly. I mean, it's Phantom is basically going to the next level with this. Now that we have, Solid and, Sex and SOLIDsex and all the other platforms and stuff like that are coming out right now, this is the first time we've actually gotten kind of an L1 to get on. It's starting to get on an Ethereum level in terms of that. It's really early right now, but if we look at what happened on Ethereum and then kind of graph that out, what's going on with Phantom, it's kind of insane. So pretty, yeah. There's a lot of coins for sure. I look white. Well, thank you, sir. Jeremy's can't wait for some SOLIDsex. Well, yes, sure. Yes, sir. Solidex is printing my beats and oath. Definitely, man. $2 billion onboarded onto Phantom in one day. And I think it still is that TBL right now currently. So honestly, the gas fees are not that bad. I know it seems kind of crazy for the gas fees. We're paying on average right now. Right now the fees are kind of down, but where they were a couple days ago, I mean, I was paying on average maybe anywhere from 1.5 to 4 Phantom to get my transactions through. So at the worst case, during the worst time, $8 gas fee. Meh. I mean, I paid $1,500 in gas fees before on Ethereum, so it's I don't even know what the math of it actually, I'll do the math right now. 1,500 divided by 8. So literally, the worst gas fee I paid on Ethereum versus the worst gas fee I paid on Phantom. The difference is that Ethereum's gas fee is 187.5x worser than the worst one I paid on Phantom. Oof. Terrible. Shoo. Sandy Beach, good night. But yeah, definitely. So I'm gonna go over what's going on right now. I'm gonna give a little breakdown of the background of all the drama, as well as what this means for Phantom overall, and what this means actually for the future of projects as well. Because if this works out on Phantom and it does really well, at some point we're going to get a copy pasta version of it. This is really the second time that's ever been done, because curve and its whole system is pretty advanced, and this is the first time that it's ever been tried successfully. So far, it's been successful, and actually going to another L1, and it's pretty telling why it's actually going on Phantom, because I mean this is Andre's birth child, and Andre is probably one of the only people that could pull some crazy shit out like this, which is kind of crazy. It's one of the reasons why, if you actually look at what's been going on, the market's fucking crashing down, but our portfolios are still green. Why is that? Because there's so much buying pressure on all the main tokens on the ecosystem, because we were able to earn an incredible amount of yield, and still a pretty amazing type of yield on tokens. And a lot of the strategies I'm going to show you guys right now had very little to almost no impermanent loss. Some had a little bit more impermanent loss if you wanted to risk it for the biscuit. I did a couple of them. There's some other ones where they're probably not worth it anymore. But it's going to be a game of just like money, basically. So, am I worried about the whole MetaMask thing? Meh, a little bit, yeah. But it's just kind of it just kind of is what it is for now. But yeah, fuck, it just sucks. Might have to switch to Trust Wallet, but then that's owned by that's owned also by Binance Chain, who's cucking out to the U.S. government. So, might have to make my own MetaMask on the low, but well, yeah, it's already fixed. Yeah. So yeah, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell, retweet this shit on Twitter, man. I'm trying to get this out to as many people as I can. And yeah, hit up the chats, DM all the chats, all the Q4 chats, all the Q1s everywhere. And I'm going to be streaming. I'm going to be trying to stream like at least consistently at around this time, maybe even an hour earlier. But I'm trying to do maybe 4 to 5 streams a week, give or take. My interviews might be a little bit earlier, but in terms of like AMAs or just like these like coin specific or ecosystem specific videos and stuff, or Ponzi-nomic fucketry, it's going to be around like 9 o'clock at night, just because of how my schedule is working out right now. So this is roughly when it's going to happen. I'm sorry for all my East Coasters, but West Coast is the best coast, except for taxes. Fuck that shit. Can I work for you, DCC? I'm trying to quit Ds. DM me, bro. DM me. I'll save you from slavery. Right. And then also on the menu, I'm going to talk about basically what's going on with Oath Token as well, which is really, really cool. I've got some numbers breaks down on terms of like how much Oath you're getting per share and all that jazz, as well as like where I'm yield farming it currently. It's pretty non-surprising, but I'm just going to just say it out there for everybody else so they know where to look and stuff. But let's definitely get into it. So sure, let me share my screen. You know what? I haven't played this today, so I mean it's been a minute. I love that I'm back now, so let me play. Somebody that I used to know. Shoo! Didn't have to cut me off. Shoo! Definitely. Yeah, all that MetaMask stuff's been resolved and stuff, but it's still alarming a little bit. It's like, no bueno, you guys. Let's see if I can share. My screen is getting shared. Let's go full screen in this bitch. All right, you guys, I won't be able to see this chats, but can you guys see my screen? Yes, no, maybe so. My neighbor hates the bass on that one, I'm sure. Smooth Brain. Oh my god, that name's amazing. Daniel Prosperity, man. Hey, blessed be thy bags, for they shall pump. Hey, man, thank you, bro. I appreciate it. With the $14 super chat, or Canadian super chat. Sell me all the maple syrup coins. So this is solidly right here. This is what all this shit is about right now. This is what everybody is fucking talking about, why everyone's freaking out, and why everyone's freaking out. So it took me a while to really figure out like where to put money and where and how to allocate and what if is this token a piece of shit basically. And so out of all the tokens, right, you've got Solidly, you've got Solidex, which is basically it creates something called the Sex token, which is I don't know if I can show it. Let's see. These, there we go, which is right here, which is the Sex token right here. So you have one, two, and then you have other competitor. You have like two other competitors basically. One which isn't really out right now, which is called Oxdow, and then you have another called Weave, which is I don't know why they would call it that, but well, we got a project called Sex. I mean, and my God, the amount of memes, Jesus Christ, is ridiculous. So, pretty insane. So, yeah, I'm going to explain because I'm looking at the chat right now for a second. Yeah, so DCC, I want to get into all these ecosystems, Hex, Phantom, Pulse Chain, Luna, Dot, but I only have so much money right now. How do you recommend slowly? Well, I always recommend Hex and Phantom and stuff and Pulse Chain. Hex is kind of Pulse Chain. So really, if you're talking, you really can combine Hex and Pulse Chain into one thing, and Phantom is its own thing. Luna and Dot, it's more of like you have to at some point you got to choose where you're gonna be a little heavier at, right? Myself personally, I'm fucking like balls deep in the Phantom and Hex Pulse Chain ecosystem, very heavily invested in Pulse Chain, PulseX, and everything else, and all the other sacks and shit and all the fuckery. I'm in all that stuff. But doesn't mean that I don't have a nice, I don't have a dot position, but I have a very decent sized like Kusama position, and I actually have nothing in Luna currently. So yeah, don't have nothing in Luna, but I'm not really mad at it really. So because there's the yield farming opportunities on over here on Phantom are way better than Luna, but the price appreciation of Luna has been holding up pretty well as well. So it's like it's no sleeper as well. It's just I find for the way I think I'm doing a little more better on Phantom in terms of just multiples on my capital as well as like cash flow during all these downturns and stuff. So during this entire sort of downturn and stuff, when this started launching, pretty much I invested a pretty sizable amount into all these pools and explained which ones I did and everything like that. And it turned out we made, and anybody else who did this and stuff made a really, really decent amount of money. And I actually was dumping a lot of my Sex tokens. I was dumping Sex on all these bitches. I was dumping a lot of the Sex tokens and investing a lot of the Solid was kind of like the strategy. I did lock up some Sex, and I'll go through kind of the whole thing of this protocol, but I have to kind of explain what the fuck is actually going on in all this stuff. But it ended up being the right move because it allowed me to then get a lot of Phantom basically. And now that the prices have gone down, I'm basically have a huge cash reserve of Phantom that I'm able to now allocate across the prices going down, and I'm gonna probably make a very sizable investment back into Solid. So just don't end up with a baby mama. Might have 8 or 9, bro. But but yeah, it's a pretty I almost feel like they intentionally made this into a pretty much of a clusterfuck. It is very simple. It's very so like I've said this before. Me and Charlie have said this before over the years. It's the IQ curve. Simple brains, smooth brains make money. Giga brains make money. The guys in the middle get fucked. And I have made my strategies be as smooth brains as possible, but I've made a couple of big brain strategies that for the long term to see if it will actually work and stuff like that, and I'm willing to risk it. But in terms of what I did for all of this shit, I didn't put one single dollar Phantom into any of this, the Solid token, the Sex token. I farmed it all basically, and I will continue to do so. I am now because I took some profits on some of these pools and stuff and into Phantom. I'm now at some point I'm going to make a rotation and take some of the profits that I made off of selling the tokens when the prices were high, because the Sex token was $15 to like $30 when I was selling it, and then the other token, the Solid token, was much higher in price as well. I think it was like 2 or 3x higher. when I was taking profits on all that. So I'll be rolling profits back into like the tokens and then kind of figuring out the lay of the land of where I'm going from there. But yeah. So in terms of what's going on, basically Solidly is this CRV. So why everyone's going crazy over this shit is that basically Solidly is Phantom's curve. And the Ethereum bros are like jizzing their pants over curve. Like oh my god, like if there's one token that every like gigabrain, supposed gigabrain, or middle curve motherfucker on Ethereum goes crazy and like comes their pants, is curve. And I understand, and curve is really is a unique token where it incentivizes liquidity, and it has all these. They've essentially kind of invented, in at least DeFi as it stands right now on Ethereum, kind of the bribe system that it eventually got adapted onto Beethoven X. That we're starting to see like certain projects like Liquid Driver and Beethoven X really take this whole bribe system, which is basically you stake your coin on the protocol, and because you stake it and you can't sell it, I'm giving you voting power, and then you vote on pools for emissions to come out, and then where those emissions come out, tokens are incentivized to like, here, man, thank you for voting for me, man, as a constituent. Here's some fucking money under the table, bro. That's what they call it, bribes, right? But it's not really that dark, but it sounds pretty funny just calling it bribes because crypto's funny. So what's going on is projects like Beethoven X and Liquid Driver started doing Liquid Driver just barely started doing it, but Beethoven's been doing it for about a month, maybe a month and a half now, and you've seen kind of the price appreciation of Beethoven X from 40 cents up to like basically $1.30, like where I said. Hope some of you guys took a little profits, but the Beethoven X token is holding up pretty well around $1. Worst case scenario on the Beethoven X token will probably go to 80 cents. I'm if it goes anywhere sub 80 cents, I'm a buyer of Beethoven, and I've been yield farming with my Beethoven X tokens and stuff as being like my main pool for a while. So why everyone's so like jazzed about this thing is that, you know, there's people who bought Curve early on. They staked it for 4 years, 2 years, 3 years, depending on how they locked it up for the Curve token, and they're voting bribes, which is basically something like this. So this is the best explanation of what bribes are, is beats bribes. So for every 1,000 F beats, which is, you know, 1,000 F beats, which isn't that much money, you get these kind of incentives. The websites for Curve are way nicer. These are pretty fucking janky. This is pretty janky, you guys. This is pretty Microsoft, early Microsoft Paint shit. But basically, this is what it is, right? So if let's just say I had 100,000 F beats, which is right now probably like $80,000, maybe $100,000, you would basically make, you know, $3,600 every 2 weeks. So basically, you're earning about 3.5% to 4% a week on like $100,000. You could have less amount, but it's still the percentage is equaled up the same, where depending on where you vote, and sometimes it's actually higher because they pay out a certain percentage, but then not enough people vote on there. So there's a bit of a strategy for how to like get your money out. So with all these incentives, this causes people to like hold beats for longer, Curve for longer. I was like, wow, Curve's cool, beats is cool, I hold beats, and it ends up having more people like, wow, this coin's really good, let me keep it for a long time. And then it because of that causes the overall price of beats to kind of go up or stay steady, and then those emissions start getting paid out to people in pools, and then these pools, which let me go to the pool, which these pools on Beethoven X, just to give you an example, get emissions, right? So something like what's a decent one, like Vaults of the Mold of the Lonely Mountain receives a 283% beats APR reward, which is emissions basically, as well as like their own incentives token and swap fees. And this gives you an overall APR of 351%, which is almost 1% a day in terms of yield, which is pretty good. So what's going on here is that the reason that these projects pay these bribes is because it's a way for them to get liquidity for their token. So because what's going on is almost no one other than the team itself is going to provide liquidity for tokens. So if if you as if you as a team don't incentivize pools, and then you also don't have much capital to incentive, I mean, basically you die as a project because you don't have enough liquidity at all, and people don't fuck with you. And then if people can't buy like $100,000 or $10,000-15,000 at a time, and they're like, man, fuck this janky ass piece of shit, and then they don't use you, and then you die basically. So it's super important to actually have to incentivize pools. And then this is what Beethoven X does really well. And they borrowed this whole bribe system from Curve. And there's people that I know of, that like, they have like a couple $100,000 in Curve tokens locked up that they got when it was peanuts basically, and then they were able to get emissions on it. So I mean, that $400,000 of Curve tokens back in the day was really like, it cost them like $15,000, and those $15,000 are now, after all this time, are still providing let's just say on a $300,000 Curve. I'm just using these large numbers to make you guys understand in terms of why like people give a fuck so much about like Curve. But like 300, 400, $500,000 of Curve tokens that are locked up, and they're using these bribes. People are living on this stuff where they're essentially generating a $4,000 to $8,000 income on every bribe vote and stuff. So it's a very sizable income for a lot of people on Ethereum and stuff. So a lot of I know of quite a few people that are living off of like bribes basically. And this is starting to kind of play out a little bit for Beethoven X. Is one of the reasons why I saw the incentive pools. So this is before they really had the bribes going on. And I was like, holy crap, this is pretty amazing. The APRs are nice. And then I was like, the bribe system, oh my god. So I then, obviously I was already invested. I saw the smoke. I invested pretty decently into this, and I actually do think this is a long-term good play. But there's a lot more competition now, where you are getting this whole thing with like Liquid Driver doing bribes, but basically everyone's doing bribes right now, which does lead to like increased price appreciation on tokens and stuff like that. Because if you provide a decent amount of bribes, people want to buy your token more, and then it's sort of this thing where like the winner gets more money, and because they get more money, it gets more buying pressure. So on something like if you look at something like what's a decent one? Okay, like this one, right? Like Ring this, right? So it's an 80-20 pool. So it's the least amount of impermanent loss you can do by providing liquidity. But what ends up happening is people are like, wow, that APR is really good. So people start buying your token for no reason, just to essentially earn this yield. And this causes your price to go up and also makes you more liquid. And it's just basically a positive feedback loop. And it causes price appreciation as well as like steady eddy on the price, in terms of some whales are able to kind of offload money without collapsing the price. And that's kind of what's going on in terms of everything right here, in terms of like Curve and that. So just to go back to the original point, so everyone and their mom is like, holy crap. So Andre essentially made in a more advanced version. So he added a couple of different dimensions to the Curve token, the CRV token, when he made Solidly, which is the solid token basically. And one of the big things that he did as an upgrade to this whole protocol is he has something called create a lock basically. So you can take your solid token. This is like locking CRV for like a couple of years. But one of the big differences that he did was you lock it up and then you lock it up and that's it, right? And you have voting power. But what he did is he made the lockup token into an NFT, which is tradable. That's what's so cool about this whole thing, is that Andre essentially allowed liquidity for like locked stakes in a way on a NFT marketplace. So right now you can buy and sell your voting power in Solidly, which is Curve on Phantom, on PaintSwap, which is really, really cool. So I know this is a little bit complex for some people who don't know the systems and stuff like that, but intentionally they've made it pretty complex. If you actually read the white papers for some of these tokens, it's pretty fucking dog shit. Like literally like vague as fuck. Like, hey, I'm launching something VV33, and then they call it Solidly, and then like it could have been rolled out a lot better, honestly. And I actually personally think that it was intentionally, people in crypto always lean into like, oh, I'm so hyper intelligent, and like my spurginess my Spurgeon stopped me from really properly explaining this is because of the genius of my body just could not get me to write words on the thing to explain this properly to everybody. But I did it because I'm a good, smart person, not because I have a fucking like backwards incentive to make sure that like my homies get rich, like get rich as fuck off of this shit first before all the plebs get in, which is what I think personally is what happened a little bit, right? So it basically, unless you were really a fucking Ethereum dork in Curve and stuff, because most people like Curve token fucking doesn't do shit really in terms of price appreciation. It did okay. It's a good kind of big macro token in terms of what Curve is. It could probably at some point, over a period of time, it can go to like it could do a 10x over a decade, maybe 5 years. But over 5 years, investing into other products, I mean, Ethereum will outpump Curve basically in terms of price. Because it's just such a large token. A lot of people are selling the token emissions, and it's a lot of other stuff. So, obviously, like I do believe that Andre has done a great job with Solidly. I think he's kind of fixed a little bit more of the bugs in terms of how emissions come out for Solidly, and it made much more of a competitive landscape for the emission rewards at the end of the day, basically. So, basically, if you have one solid token and you lock it for 4 years, you get one V NFT, which basically means you get one super vote or one vote, basically. So here, I'll just buy some tokens just to show you guys. Or maybe I can do this. Oh, yeah, I can just do that. Oh, cool. Right, so let's just say I have one token, one solid token, and I stake it for a week. It's basically 1% of a token. Now I do 1 month. Okay, a year. Okay, 25, 4 years, the full thing. So it's kind of, and you can also plug and play this stuff into, let's just say, like actually let's just say, damn it, in 6 months from now, I'd really want to get my money out here. So you just put this 10, boom, and then you lock it. But let me give you guys a bit of a warning, and I figured this out because I've been making some of these VNFTs. Now, please, this is more of an advanced strategy. I'm going to talk to you guys why, like, you guys might want to, like, it's sort of like a hex staking ladder. If you make when you vote, there's this thing that says, please select your VNFT, I'm just calling it NFT, fuck. Please select your NFT. There's going to be a drop-down menu right here, and you just choose an NFT, and then you cast your votes. It's really fucking annoying, because if you make a couple of these, like I had 5 or 6 of these bitches, and holy fuck. So every time I'm going to be like, oh, gas fee. Oh, gas fee. If we know that Phantom is becoming really good, this is sort of the same stuff that I saw originally with Hex and a bunch of other things. Like, oh wait, the gas fees are trying to creep up a little bit, right? So if you end up making a bunch of these micro NFTs, what ends up happening is that you're going to have to, like, unless they upgrade the website, but as of right now, it's not beneficial to do small like NFT batches, right? So what I'm saying is, let me go back to vesting. I'm at the point now where I think like you need to do like 1,000 in a lock to do like, wow, that's it. Oh, okay, my bad. Yeah, so something like that or like that to make it worthwhile to even do that. And basically like maybe even 100, that's fine and stuff, because I actually do believe the solid token is going to keep going down in price for a little bit. I'm kind of hoping it goes to about $1, and that's where I would actually ape into quite a lot of them and actually lock up a decent amount personally. But this is more of an advanced strategy, and then 2 year locking up shit for like 3-4 years. I know a lot of people I'm a Mexican, so I'm like, I've locked shit up for 15 years, like, which is insane, because if you think about it, right, like 15 years ago, I was like a sophomore in high school, so that's a long time ago for me. But YOLO, basically. Yeah, please, get the likes up, you guys. Hit the like button, notification bell, subscribe and stuff, and retweet this stuff out and put it out there. Tell your mom, tell your dad, tell your baby mama, tell your second baby mama, tell your other plate and stuff. DCC don't bite. But that's kind of what's going on. So like myself personally, I'm not making any more of these. I'm saving up. So when I collect my rewards off of Solidex, which I'll show you guys in a minute how to do all this stuff, I'm now kind of gathering a larger amount of solid before I lock up anything. And obviously I'm not locking all my shit up for 4 years. course, I'm doing like a 1 year, maybe 6 month, maybe like I'm going to create a little bit of a ladder, but I'm making sure that the number's at least a little big. Don't you guys, I wouldn't recommend doing like these 10 or like 50, like it's at least got to be 100 plus solid tokens. And I'm watching the token price because I've got my hands kind of like, I'm kind of hoping the price of solid actually goes down to like, if it can go sub dollar, because some of these guys who, when they launched this token, right, some of these guys were able to buy this token for 20 cents. So it's held up pretty well. If you actually look, yeah, it actually doesn't even show this and stuff. It was cheaper than this, where some people were able to get it, which is it just is what it is. So if the solid token gets closer to about $1, maybe $1.80, this is where I'm probably going to end up like gathering a lot more of the solid token myself personally. The solid token is basically what you want to hold in terms of like what's like the phantom or what's like the main token, because of because the more and more solid tokens are locked up in basically the NFT form, which is right here, as well as in like SOLIDsex, the emissions start going down quickly, and then you end up drying up the total supply of solid, which is pretty insane. So you could end up getting the solid price actually going up much better than you do on Curve, which is pretty cool. But yeah, so that's what's going on there. And then the reason people do this, like, why the fuck would I lock up my solid token? That's retarded. Like, why would I? Well, here's why. You can vote on stuff. Yay! Vote. But Miguel, like, I'm an American, I don't vote. But what if you voted and I paid you? Like, I like money. Cool. So does everyone else. So what's going on right now is the only person that's really incentivizing pools right now, which is fucking smart, Harry Ye. Shout out to that motherfucker. He's bribing this bitch up right here. This is the only one right now. And within a week or so, we're probably gonna get other projects starting to bribe right now. But he's like the first mover advantage was like this with Harry Ye. He incentivized it. So right now there's about 697,000 tomb tokens. The rest is solid, and it's not that much. But he was like the first person to incentivize. So right now, 15% of all the emissions are going to tomb, which is really good. So what that happens is it ends up, even though there's like 125, compared this to other pools, right? Look, $254 million, 2% APR, $125 million, 102% APR. And I'll explain a little bit why that's such a big fucking deal, especially for a person like Harry Ye and stuff like that in terms of a project, because it is big business in terms of like what it does for projects and stuff in terms of income. So here, let me go into it a little bit. So eventually there'll be multiple projects in bribing people with different stuff, right? Like, hey, there's this and there's that, and then like, here, let me go to bigger pages. Let me go to 25 pages. So there's all types of different pages. Obviously, you guys, F Beats. This is the main bitch right here. Hopefully, they jack this shit up a lot. But it's that sort of thing right there where like if like a team like Beats were like, holy crap, they offered a ton of beats here, they would get more votes. Right now, they're only getting 2% of the emission rewards right now, which is about this much in terms of like solid tokens. If they jacked it up, right, they start getting like 4 million. They can really increase how much emissions they get, which then increases the APRs and APYs on these other protocols right here, which is really cool. You also get to, when you actually would pick up your rewards right here in terms of your bribes, but then the emissions go to these pools that people are then putting the pools on Solidex, and then eventually we'll put these pools on other places as well, which is we'll kind of get into the clusterfuck that's going on right now. So just to kind of go back 1 second. So obviously I've explained like solidly that's Curve, and this is really the main token. So basically what's going on is they've created a giant like lover's triangle, or no, square, square basically, or diamond, where everyone is like fighting over this solidly chick right here, and then you have like 3 or 4 guys, other protocols, that are essentially like fighting over like who has the most solidly tokens, so the emissions go to them, so they kind of cuck out the other guys basically. Which is pretty funny. So on Ethereum, you have a project called Convex, right? Which here, let me pull it up. Where's Convex? Oh, now you move the screen. CVX, which is Convex. If you actually look at the price of the token, right? So obviously, if you saw Curve's market cap is about $900 million. Convex, which is a protocol that essentially uses Curve rewards and stuff and makes it easier for people to kind of use it and stuff, has about $1 billion market cap. So it's a sort of thing where if Solidly can be worth $1 billion, 500 million, or multiple billions, tens of billions of dollars, then the main protocol that ends up making it easier for the second layer users. So Convex makes it easier for regular people and just other whales and stuff to kind of like vote and kind of figure out emission. Like Convex owns a lot of Curve, and then because they get a lot of emissions, so there's people yield farming on Convex, and as well as people are voting and stuff on Convex. So you end up having this whole war where basically on Ethereum there is basically just Curve and Convex. It's a two-party system basically, where you have a supplement, like they actually have the main thing that creates the demand and yield for the CRV token, but then you have a supplementary company that also provides all these services that makes it easier for like the secondary players to use. Now, on Phantom, like Andre's kind of done an interesting thing where he's made it much more competitive. There's actually multiple like kind of suitors basically. I mean, you have Solidex, which is the first mover advantage there. So right now what's going on is like, okay, Curve's locked in. Solidly is Curve. That's it. Curve. This is Curve on Phantom. Next, you have Solidex, which is they're trying to be Convex. And this is the giant kind of clusterfuck that's going on, is it basically you have Solidex, Oxdow, and Weave, basically. So if we look at, let's look at it, VDAO, let's go to another one, and Oxdow. Oh, shoot. There you go, Oxdow. And Oxdow. So these are the three competitors, and basically these three motherfuckers are all fighting against each other to become Convex, while this is Curve, basically. So in terms of when I was yield farming this, so I was like, you know what, I'd rather keep, once I figured out like, oh, Solidly is Curve, got it. So let me just save up some of my Solidly tokens, and then what I started doing is I was dumping the Sex tokens here and there. I yield farmed a little bit on some of these other pools, but then I kind of figured out like, oh crap, like I'm better off holding the Solidly token. And I'll show you guys kind of the pools I ended up using and stuff to do so. But then I ended up kind of dumping the Solidex token basically into Wrapped Phantom, if that makes sense to you guys. In terms of the other competitors right now, let me see. Oxdow right now is really not. It's even though it's there's a token and everything like that. The incentives and stuff for it aren't really even out yet right now. VV3, like basically these two guys were kind of late to the fucking party a little bit, but this beat out, which is Weave right now, is kind of playing this kind of weird game where like they have a certain amount of tokens of both protocols where they can earn admissions off of like VDAO and off of like Solidex, which is really strange. Which is really strange. So like it's just this giant convoluted clusterfuck that's going on right now, and people just don't know what's going on. But like Solidly is probably one of the main tokens like to stack basically for votes. But the way I'm kind of telling people is like if they're not trying to get that invested in this, it's just better off just to farm tokens, earn these crazy APRs or APRs you can earn on these tokens, and then just stack Phantom basically. And then once everything kind of clears up, then you can decide to allocate towards it, or just completely just sidestep it completely, if that makes sense. Yes, exactly. A vampire circulager, correct. That's yeah. No, yeah, VDAO and XDAO or OxDAO are like frenemies now. I really wish they picked better names, personally. I mean, the sex token. I mean, I kind of get to like Solidex. That's a great name, but then they name the token Sex, which is it's funny at first and stuff, but then it gets really, really weird. Just consistently saying that out loud a lot, like solid sex, lock sex, and it's just it gets a bit. It's like it's. I think it's pretty catching, but it's a little like meh. Right. So in terms of what's going on with like the other competitors, right? So obviously Solidex came out the room like gunning basically. They were the first ones to have incentives out and everything like that, and basically have taken they're in the leader position right as of right now. We do have Weave, which is like coming up, and they're playing some kind of different strategy. So um, when Solidex originally launched, and they made an error in their protocol votes, and their protocol votes did not go where they're supposed to go at launch. So you had a lot of these protocols where they kind of, they all yield farmed it, and you end up having this whole thing where like everybody got allocations, like Tomb and all the major protocols, Xboo, Boo, like everyone, basically all the top TVL projects got an allocation of like a certain amount of like the V NFTs, which is basically like tokens, basically voting power on solidly. Well, what happened is I actually don't think it's a coincidence that this happened. Actually, so what happened is Solidex says like, "Oh no, something happened with our UI. The votes just didn't go in the right place." So what happened is you ended up getting this crazy thing of like a ton of admissions ended up like the votes like people like these protocols put their votes in, and then a lot of like votes that should have gone to VDAO. I mean, no, not VDAO. Yes, VDAO. Yeah, we basically got added on to other protocols instead of their tokens, and other protocols got bass boosted way more than they should have, basically. So you ended up having like Phantom Tomb being like huge APRs. You had a Xboo at like 1,000, 2,000 APR. This is why like we had like beats F beats were like 3,000, 2,500% APR. You had tons of this stuff like Phantom Sex and stuff. Like you had tons of like these other competitors tokens get the APR that some of the APR should have gone to Weave token and all this other stuff that they were doing and stuff. So it was a total big shit show on the first week launch, which is really fucking funny. So they're like, yeah, like no, we had no idea how that happened. So basically, Solidex basically try to fuck over Weave, basically. Except here's some crazy shit right here. This is like the drama of like all this stuff that's going on. So, okay. But there was like one silver lining or one good thing about this entire sort of clusterfuck is that obviously, because that Weave was like early yield farming and becoming a partner with Solidex, that you ended up having they ended up getting an airdrop of a large amount of something called SolidSex or SolidSex. And what this is you can take your sex tokens, which is basically the stuff you yield farm, which is the main token of this. You can stake it here. You destroy the. I mean, I'm sorry. Sorry, there's so many tokens. I'm sorry. You take your solid token, which is obviously what everyone's fighting for, the solid token. You lock it in here, and then you get something called SolidSex. And then what SolidSex does, it allows you to earn basically like this APR here, which is like solid sex and sex APR and stuff like that. So you earn more sex and solid tokens at a slower rate, and people lock it up right here. So a lot of people, because people did a lot of stuff on Solidex, we've got a very large proportion of. They ended up getting a huge airdrop of a ton of this solid sex token. And one thing that Solidex did that they fucked up on is that they super incentivized this. Let me see if I can find the stable pool. They super incentivized SolidSex solid. And the APR for this was about 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 for about a couple days. So a ton of money came in here. So at one point there was about $100 million on this protocol. But since we've got all this fucking money, they got all these coins. They're like, holy shit! They started selling a ton. So what they started doing is they started selling a ton of their SOLIDsex back into Solid. So they kind of got cucked out of all the yield and shit. They're like, holy fuck. But they ended up having a ton of this time. So what they did is they sold a ton of, like, because everyone was like liquidity mining all this APR in terms of sex and SOLIDsex, that they ended up getting it out because they had this token that they didn't want anymore, and they ended up selling a ton of it back for Solid, which is what the Curve token. So they ended up giving their competitor a way to get all their fucking money out. Fucking dumb gums. So maybe it was a UI issue where like the votes did get fucked up, where they did that because what they should have done is have the APR fucking like dead nothing on this or low, and kind of fucked over their competitor a little bit, so they were King Kong a little bit in terms of what was going on. But because of that, they then took 450,000 Solidly tokens and then bought a partnership with XDAO, because these are all DAOs, right? So if you have a certain amount of tokens, you get voting power. So what XDAO is, if you want to become an official partner at OxDAO, you have to essentially stake 450,000 solid, and then that pretty much promises you XDAO admissions. So even this token, which is semi-competitor to Solidly, they're still like being cucked out because they're like, oh, I want the Solidly token. Yeah, I want Solidly token. So because then they're trying to control the emissions over here because they control votes to bring money. It's just a fucking clusterfuck, all this shit. But so what we did by Solidex fucks them over, and then they accidentally fucked themselves over with VDAO, is that VDAO essentially is a partner with Solidex, but then from their Solidex's fuck up, they ended up they bought a partnership deal with XDAO. So now Weave is essentially earning money off of all three protocols. Yeah, Batman, Spider-Man, Fool. Yeah. So it's a giant sort of fight. So in terms of like where I see like some of the best value right now, I'm still like really researching into Weave right now. It looks like Weave is probably at some point maybe undervalued in terms of the yield farms and stuff, but I'm still personally still researching into Weave. But I'm just kind of giving you what was kind of like the inside baseball of like what was going on with all these protocols basically. And that so basically, like all these competitors are essentially like they're all owning each other and then yielding off each other. So in a way, they're sort of like a snake, like they're like curling with each other like a snake basically, so nobody can get away and they can all stay alive. So it's this weird thing where you end up having like a 4 token system instead of a 2 token system, like Curve Convex. You have like three convexes and 1 Curve. And so that the only token that's like long term, like you want to hold, is probably just the solid token, which is the Curve on Phantom. Then from there, you're kind of in a way kind of gambling and speculating a bit of which of these tokens is going to be the more dominant one, because obviously the one that's more dominant ends up being very close to almost the same market cap as the main Curve token on Phantom, which is Solid. So that's kind of like the rub in the play of like what's going on right now in this on this protocol. And then something very interesting as well is that you end up having XDAO, which is like another interesting sort of thing where like they haven't really launched their stuff yet and their incentives yet. But the reason that people are so hyped about this one is that this is basically a project that was being created by a bunch of devs from Yearn Finance. So people are like, oh, dude, Yearn Finance is so cool. So obviously they have Andre ties, and Yearn devs are really good. So obviously Yearn makes a decent amount of money off of Curve and stuff. So they know this whole Curve game. So so what's going on is sort of like Yearn is basically like, oh shit, let me get in this game right now and try to be convex. So they probably took some of their players, like ex Yearn devs, and then put them over here, and then like let's try to like be convex or Curve, or a convex Curve fusion on Phantom right now. So but because of all this confusion and action and stuff, that means it becomes very competitive. So people are going to be paying off the there's going to be a lot of money flowing around, and when money's flowing around, capital pools over here, and then you end up having a very high kind of growing TBL on Phantom, which is really good, which causes just greater liquidity across all of Phantom, and then you're able to trade back and forth in larger quantities with all these kind of token pairs. So this is why I'm saying that this is like pretty unique, because they've essentially taken the curve wars and all this stuff and just squared it basically in complexity. It's literally like so much more complex now than it is on Ethereum. And the bigger bonus to this is, like, I actually do think that the solid token, which is Solidly, is a far better. I think it actually is better than Curve in terms of just tokenomics and just usefulness, because you can buy and sell it on as an NFT versus you really can't do shit with, like, locked Curve token. I mean, there's not much of incentives in order to be able to actually provide liquidity for the pair in order to like sell it or borrow on it. Smooth. I didn't realize this is a threesome. It might be a foursome. Oh my god. So this is kind of like the whole like kind of battleground of like the background of right now. So as of right now, the only one that's really got incentives right now is just basically Solidex, and then so these two are kind of fucking up. This guy's playing, like, what I'm sort of seeing is like this guy's like in second place or possibly like the best sort of like value right now, but it's just too early to tell. I mean, obviously $26 million market cap, that's pretty low. I do believe that these protocols are going to be $1 billion. If Phantom keeps up what they're doing, it's very possible eventually you can have these protocols worth more than their curve compatriots and stuff. If that ends up happening, where like Curve starts being like, holy fuck, this protocol's like got almost the same money under management TBL as like Curve on Ethereum, you'll probably end up at some point getting Curve. You'll end up having Curve end up coming on to Phantom and going multi-chain at some point, because they should have already. They've just been really fucking lazy about it. But people being lazy about it is other people's opportunity and other ecosystems' opportunity, because as of right now, until Pulse Chain launches and everything like that, Phantom is the most advanced system in all of crypto. Like all the technological advanced shit, everything that's really cool, all the really cool yield farming, all the cool sort of incentive rewards, bribing, all this stuff is on Phantom. Period. And it's literally a better Ethereum. Then when Pulse Chain launches, then we can see what direction what's called Richard takes it, and then that could be a better Ethereum and stuff. But as of right now, in terms of just like the advanced stuff, or the big brain stuff, it is Phantom. As well as then you got all the tune forks and stuff for all the smooth brain degenerate shit, which I don't recommend, but it's kind of what's going on right now. And possibly like these protocol, because these protocols are like kind of like there are Ethereum people that went on to over here because Ethereum was shitty, that you could actually get some of these projects actually coming on to Pulse Chain and some of these other L1s at some point, but except that they always bring the money back to the main L1, which is Phantom. So I mean, this is the first time I've really seen that like Ethereum is starting to get a serious competitor, but there is problems with Phantom in terms of decentralization, because you do need a certain decent sized server. And this is the same thing that like Richard was talking about, where I think he has like, I think like what, 33 validators, is that you need a certain level of like technologically advanced and advanced server farms in order to actually run a validator node. And then on top of that, at least the way the Phantom system does, you need about a million Phantom to even become a validator in the first place, and then you have to have a good setup, like industrial size internet, and it becomes this problem where like they want to have more validators because that decentralizes the system and makes it faster, but it's this whole thing where like we can't let a bunch of fucking plebs, not to say it in a bad way, but like they can't let a bunch of fucking plebs with 100 be a Phantom, because then you have shitty validators, and then the system becomes really bad. So it's this whole thing where like they want to make it cheaper, but at the same time, they're like what they're almost doing is like, when if the price of Phantom was $4, they would like, hey, you guys, we've just lowered the cost of being a validator to about 500,000 Phantom, yay! Which what they did is like they just kept it at $2 million or $1 million buy-in price to become a validator in a way. So yeah, this is exactly correct. Like, yeah, I heard, yeah, there's more transactions on Phantom than Ethereum this week. Yeah. So this is what I've been saying. And this is why I've been talking about Phantom for fucking almost a year now. You know, I just started really, I basically had an entire first webinars in the Q3 course, which is about which was like, what, 6 months, no more, like 8 months ago. I'm sorry, for that course. When I really started getting into it, but then I started playing with it before that, obviously, because I always have to battle test everything that I bring to you guys to make sure that it's on dog shit, basically. And I saw like what was going on. I didn't see too much of the curve stuff just yet because obviously that hadn't been talked about. But I saw like, oh my god, you can like this is like the magic. I saw the magic that I originally saw in Ethereum in the first time, and that I didn't see in all these other chains. I mean, I personally like I fuck heavy with like all these other chains and stuff, too. But like I can't, like, I couldn't really use the dot ecosystem very well in terms of like how it was at the time, janky. But everyone's not really trying to use stuff. They're just trying to get price appreciation. But when I actually used Phantom, I was like, I can actually operate this. It's like it's Ethereum 1 or 2.0, 3.0. And then on top of that, I saw that all the hipsters. So I saw that like, holy crap, there's actually users over here. Holy shit. And that's kind of like why I've been like, making sure to teach you guys about this ecosystem, because basically my thesis was correct, is that this is kind of like where we're heading towards, and then at the worst case scenario, we make some money and stuff and everything like that on this whole ecosystem, and then Ethereum cucks them out or does some evil shit, which is like totally possible with these motherfuckers. But because we're learning about the most advanced stuff that's happening on here, we essentially are getting we're learning pattern recognition. So then when we start noticing like, holy fuck, AVAX is starting to launch their own version of Curve, or like, oh, like some of the guys over here from, then we're on the 8 ball basically, and then we can catch on opportunities faster and make this fucking moolah. That's the plan. And because basically, like, on most other protocols, like what I'm seeing is a bunch of fucking kindergarten bullshit, basically. So I'm not really impressed with most other protocols and what they're trying to do. There is some cool stuff with like the Near protocol and Aurora, with like you can pay gas fees without even noticing you're paying gas fees in the main L1 token on the L2 and stuff, but which is really nice. I think that's a cool feature, but that can just be pretty copy pasted at some point if the transaction speeds get fast enough where you don't even notice it's happening in the background. But yeah. So that's basically what's going on with Solidly, Solidex, VDAO, XDAO right now. But let's talk about basically if what's like worth invest, or what's worth yielding on right now. In terms of yield, what's like a decent sort of thing to kind of earn right now? Let me turn this up a little bit to 30. I wish it would just set it to 30 right off the bat, but I'm guessing it has something in the loading screen. So one thing that I will let you know, so anytime you're using Solidly, after you do anything or shit, like you just had a transaction over here, you have to always refresh the pages. It's so annoying. It's just refresh. But it just is what it is. So obviously you can, let me see in terms of pools right now. Really good pools right now are, I think, let me find it. Let's go to stable pools right now for the first part. So Liquid Driver WF Phantom. So if you have Liquid Driver wrapped Phantom, I think this is a good pool. So basically, you want to use, if you're already in the Phantom ecosystem, you want to use tokens that you already own to farm. Like, don't just go out and buying like, holy fuck, this APR is insane, I got to get into this stuff. No, that's stupid. Don't get out of pocket. If you already had some Liquid Driver and some wrapped Phantom, or you were LPing it, because like that's basically, this is the pair that you would be yield farming on Spirit Swap, and then putting it on the main Liquid Driver website, and then you're only earning a certain percentage. I think it's like 80% APR. So like, holy shit, over here, like I'm earning almost damn near 4.5x more. No brainer. You put it over here and you earn some cash on it. Not bad. Or you've got things like Boo, X Boo, and stuff like that, and then wrapped Herod and stuff like here, let me put it on the all pools and stuff. For some reason the APRs are there we go. So yeah, you can earn on this pool, that pool, wrapped Phantom Scream if you have Scream token and you want to wrap it and stuff. So one thing you can do is if you have Scream token and you're just yielding on it, I want to earn this yield, you can just sell half of it into wrap Phantom. And then, so it's like if you already own the token and you don't want to get completely out of pocket, this APR might be worth it, where like it's worth the impermanent loss a little bit, because like worst case, Scream shoots up, you just have more Phantom. Like, oh no, I'm so broke now, I have Phantom, right? But some people, cry in their sleep about impermanent loss because they don't get it, basically. But it's just not chasing the yield. It's about just taking what you already own already into that, right? Like a decent one right here. Like a lot of people have Geist for some reason. I don't know why, but people had Geist, so they're yield farming on their Geist. This one's a pretty big one right here. So I'll get to why like some of these pools are so important for the yield, because when the yields are high, because once people start voting and incentivizing pools, it drives more capital towards those tokens, and then you can really pump the price. So right now USDC weave, so I guess they're trying to bring up the liquidity. If you own like a lot of this token, and then you put it here, you're earning damn near 700% APR, which is like almost 2% per day with Sex token and Solid. So in terms of pools that I like. So this is a great pool, Boo X Boo. That's a great pool because basically there's no impermanent. It's stable right here, no impermanent loss on that. The ratios can be a little off. Sometimes they're 60-40 and stuff in sort of the ratio. It's kind of stupid, but it just kind of is what it is. But basically, if you just fix up the ratios, you can make X Boo here. You just deposit some of your Boo here. You end up kind of putting you end up just making a certain amount of X Boo, and then you put it back on Solid. You basically put it on here, which I'll show in a minute, and then you just deposit it, and then you're in the game basically, and then you're earning this 200% APR versus if you just had your X Boo only, you would only be earning a like 70. Maybe let me see the top APR. Yeah, 77% APR at the top, versus on Solidex you're earning 273% on X Boo. Beats, right? Beats is one of my favorite protocols. So it's the thing is like I have personally I don't have my X Boo in this. I have my Boo on Reaper myself. I kept it there, but in terms of my Beats, I had Beats over here just earning trying to earn the rewards, right? So if I look at stake, right, 120% APR, but if you look over here on Solidex, yeah, damn near two more times. So it's more like you weighing the options of like whether you want to allocate some money over here to start earning some tokens, basically. And this is how I was able to accumulate tokens without really getting too much impermanent loss. Some people have Brush. You just basically look for the pairs that you are earning on and whether it actually has any yield or not. But one thing I do want you guys to always look into is like volatile versus stable. So people are fucking this shit up. We're like, I don't understand how to do this stuff. This is crazy, right? The way you do it is when you're providing liquidity, right? So let's just say I provide liquidity. Add liquidity. You always double check, like, okay, I'm putting it into X Boo. Okay, what do? You look at Boo X Boo, stable. Oh fuck, I have it on volatile. Because you could then end up making that pair into volatile, and then like, oh, what the hell? I can't add any money. I can't add anything to the LP. What the hell's going on? This shit's broken. No, it's not. You got to put it to stable. You got to put it to stable. Some of them are stable, some of them are volatile. So you would be like, you would go you go Boo, and then you would go X Boo. So in this one, like, let's just say I had, in this example, let's just say I had 10. So 10x Boo, you'd have 45.9 Boo. And then basically you just play around with like, moving things back and forth until you essentially get the ratio correct, and then you deposit and stake. What would happen? So one thing that I want to explain to you, because even though sharing my screen it won't show the MetaMask coming down. So when I hit deposit and stake, the screen will come down. You'll hit edit. You pay the gas fee, and then sometimes what happens is like you get a permanent loading screen. It's weird. It's like you get this little like wheel of death where it just keeps spinning and spinning and spinning and spinning. What you do is just click somewhere else on the screen like this, make it disappear, and then you'll end up getting the little notification. You click back, it shows up. It's because of just how janky and how much people are using Solidly and Solidex and all this stuff that sometimes the MetaMask doesn't load it properly. Because what's going on is that when you hit this, you have to essentially approve about 1, 2, 3, 4. So if I hit deposit and stake, or you'll have to sign and signature, you have to sign signature, allow permissions, do this, do that, and then deposit coins. And then the last one you always reject, which is pretty counterintuitive in terms of like what it is. So yeah, so that's kind of what's kind of going on with this whole boo x boo thing in terms of liquidity. But once you've added the liquidity here, it's going to show up. It's going to show up basically here in this pool. And I don't know, maybe I just buy some tokens and just show you guys. Sure, why not? Let's buy some boo token. Yeah, let's buy like. So while I'm waiting for that transaction to happen, I can speed it up. Cool. Now I have boo. Now I just approve boo. Since I want to, I'll just do 20 boo basically. Let's just do 20 boo. Let's stake it. Edit. Boom. Yeah, sorry guys, this is the boring part, but this is what it is to LP basically. All right, cool. So now I take now that I have my coins here, now I take my ass to Solidly, refresh it, because let's just say you went straight to this, it won't even show up. It's so dumb, but it's lo que es. So let's go to liquidity, add liquidity. Let's go stable. Let's go boo, X boo. So I've got 11. Obviously, I don't have that much. Jesus Christ. So let's do. So when that happens, whatever's the lesser one, then you just do this. So you go 26.85. So one of the reasons why let's just, because right here, if you look at 26.86, the reason I leave one off is because for sometimes it ends up like fucking up the transaction where it won't go through. So you always leave like a little bit of spare change here. I don't know why, but I found that that's like the main thing. Now that before I hit deposit and stake, what do I do? Oh, Solidex. Let's check. Stable, boo, X boo, stable. Is that the correct one? Stable, Solidex boo. Okay, yeah, I guess it is. I hit deposit and stake. So, okay, so you see how it says allow the router to spend your boo, allow the router to spend your X boo, allow the router to your basically your fusion thing. You fuse it into that. That's basically that boo X boo, and then it creates your solidly thing, and then deposit tokens in the pool. The last one, stake LP tokens in the gauge. Basically, that's worthless. If you get to that transaction and it tells you to pay for it, just hit reject. The last one, there was already a function to kind of reject it, but sometimes the transaction goes through for some reason, and then your coins are actually staked. Like your LP, you make the LP, and then the LP is actually staked on Solidly, but you are not. You basically you're providing liquidity without getting any interest, so you have to withdraw it and then redo everything, and then only make sure that make sure that it only goes through this one, deposit tokens in the pool. So I just make pay the fees. Let's see, suggested fee. Boom. So I hit continue. Now, right now for myself, it's the screen's loading, which is annoying. So what you do is like I hit this button. Now I go back to the MetaMask. Oh, look at it. Now it showed up. You see? So anytime you see this, you see the MetaMask loading. I know it's not going to show that on the screen, but you just hit somewhere else, so the MetaMask pop down window from this little pin little thing on the MetaMask goes away, and you click back to it, and then it'll show up properly. It's a little it's kind of a cool way I figured out to like finish that up. Dun 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 dun. Didn't have to cut me off. All right, cool. Now I go back to the MetaMask. Another transaction. Jesus. Oh, my Lord. Yeah. Eventually, once you've done this before and you want to add more, you only do all you're doing is just one transaction instead of 3, 4. Because basically, I'm doing 4. I have to do 4 transactions to allow all this stuff to happen. So I'm allowing Boo to be spent, X Boo to be spent, then allowing it to fuse together, and then I'm doing one where I'm depositing or actually creating the LP basically, and then there's a 5th one which you don't do. So let me. And eventually what will happen is you'll end up getting this little error message, which is what you want to see. You want to see this little red box to tell you you're basically done, because it basically says, oh, you were trying to do the 5th part of the contract. Well, that part is dumb. So you can take your coin somewhere else. So I just got to wait for the deposit. Cool. This should be the last one right here. Yay. Oh, and I fucked it up. Motherfucker. Okay. So I fucked it up. So because I'm sharing my screen, I guess it didn't show me the thing. So I should have not done the last transaction there, but basically this amount right here should be right here, not in here. So I actually have my coins staked on Solidly, which is not what you want, because you want to take your LP tokens and put them here. Just to give you a reference, it's like I make my LP here and then I deposit it in a farm, where like I'm trying to take the liquidity and put it on Reaper or put it on somewhere else, basically. So that's what happens. So I have to manage, withdraw, and so I just hit 15, 13, and then with unstake and withdraw. Now I have more transactions. So this is the annoying thing of it sometimes, but basically just is what it is, you know. But I want you guys to see my pain, so you guys like know what's going on, so you know you're not so you know kind of what's going on, basically. So right now I'm waiting for the first one to be allowed. Yeah, imagine making this exactly. Like, imagine making that mistake on ETH. Like, oh my god, like this if this was an Ethereum right now, like even with the fees being kind of lowish, but because of the complexity of the contracts, oh my god, dude, like that would have been a $250 mistake. Yeah. All right, cool. Now just wait for this thing to unload. Yay. Cool. Now if I go back to liquidity, I gotta reload this thing. Bum, bum, bum. Didn't have to cut me off. Okay, cool. Now stable. Oh, so the coins haven't shown up yet. There we go. So now you see I've moved my staked amount over to the pool amount. Now I can take my ass to Solidex. Now I got to refresh the page here, because you know you got to refresh everything in life, right? So Boo X Boo. Then I hit manage. So the LPs haven't shown up yet, so I gotta keep refreshing. Oh my god, did I just do the basic mistake? So let's see, stable X Boo. So then I deposited here. So there's my balance, 15.13%. You have to approve, of course, because why not? You have to pay more gas fees. And confirm. See, reject, approve. Okay, cool. Now I just hit the max button, deposit. You didn't have to cut me off. And we're in. Yay! Can't believe it. We've finally done it. Oh my god! So I've got a $1,000 ruse on Boo Expo, and then basically if I come back later, what'll happen is, look, let me refresh the page, and automatically my whatever pools I'm in gets put to the top, which I actually find that pretty useful. So one cool thing is that what's going on is like Solidly and Solidex are starting to upgrade the UI, because the first time we used this, it was even badder, because there was positions that we were in. There was this pool that I really wanted to be in, which is called Tarot X Tarot. So no impermanent loss. I could not, even with the contract code, get X Tarot to show up on Solidex, is how janky it was. And then a couple days ago, it would finally drop down in the menu, which is annoying. So I ended up doing the let's see, Tarot. So I ended up doing the because originally I wanted to be in this one right here, right? That's no impermanent loss. You have Tarot X Tarot, like woo, right? And the APR at the time was 3,000%. But then you had this one right here, which is I'm personally in this pool right here, still am. This pool, the APR was 5,000 on this pool. So I was like, you know what? Since I can't get into that pool, I'll degen it up and go into Tarot. Who cares? And then because of this pool, because the APR was so high, Tarot ended up going on a run and going up to above $1, basically. If I look up at Tarot right now, I think it's still up. I don't think it's at $1, but yeah. So it's up 20 cents from where it was. So still, after all that ride up and down and stuff, it's still 20 cents higher than where it started, which is pretty cool. So, but what I did is I didn't buy Tarot on the market. I already had Tarot, so but it's the sort of thing where, like, if you wanted to get into a pool, like, oh, I've been meaning to get into this token, and now like the yield's actually pretty decent. Let me put it here, because right now even this APR could get as low as 100, and it's still worth it to have it here on Tarot, because if you actually go into Tarot, the APR you can earn tops is about 60% APR. That's 40% when on X Tarot, and then 20% or 14% on you're earning F Phantom, basically, which is like or T Phantom, which is a staked version of Phantom you're earning while staking your territory. So as long as the Solidex yield stays above 100, it is like always worth it to actually have it on here on Solidex in terms of yield for layout. So it's just kind of look around, and because you have to be smart. So it's like, go where your coins are being treated best. So that's kind of like the whole gist of what like I'm doing right now in terms of the pool. And other pools that are pretty cool. Let's look. Boo X Boo. Beats and stuff. Obviously, I always recommend Beats. This is a cool little pool. Right now I'm in Beats F Beats. I was able to get into this one, which was really nice. This one, meh, I wouldn't do it. I mean, if you can do this one, that's better. Plus the yield's even higher, which is cool. Plus eventually more people are going to start voting for this. So I think the APR could stay up. But the real competitive thing with this one is basically, if the APR ever goes below, like, let's just say it goes to like 150, 100, then you start getting to this point where, like, let me put it back on here, because then I can just start earning the bribes for this with my F beats. So you have to weigh it out. So in terms of where it's at right now, if it stays like above 200% APR or 180% APR, then I'll stay here and just earn the rewards. But if like, oh, the rewards are actually better to earn Beethoven X, then I'll just go back to Beethoven X. But so will other people. So this APR could drop to 80. So it's just this whole thing of like, it'll get to a point where, like, do you want to earn F beats and then get the 3 to 4% bribes versus I want to earn some solid and some sex and solid token just because I want to earn it right now, which could be like, oh, the yields are the same. Then you weigh it out, like, you know what, I want to earn some tokens right now on my money. So you put it here and you earn these tokens, which is a solid strategy. And that's pretty much the main pools I would use. You want to like go with stuff that you personally have. Obviously, like the ones that have more like stable coins or more stable, there's a lot of money in there, so the APRs are pretty low. So yeah, look, I've earned about 3 cents being here. You can individually claim your rewards. You can just hit this button that says claim earnings, or if you have multiple pools, you can claim all earnings. I will talk about a pool like, let's see, sex pool. So this is a pool that I was doing earlier. I did have some capital. I still do. I was getting the sex token. So here's there is one interesting thing you do. Let's just say you want to keep your sex tokens and your solid tokens. Like, I'm earning these tokens. Fuck it. Let me just keep them and see what I can make off of them, which I understand. So one thing the best one you could do with that is the sex token. So when you earn the sex token, you can just sell half of it on here. So let me show you where you sell your sex token. So let's just say I have sex. Well, I do all the time, but you know, but like, yeah. So because if you look at this, right, wrapped phantom sex, there's $18 million. This $18 million is technically on here, but you have it earning on here. So because the money is fused on here, so it exists. So there's liquidity. So when you actually can sell your sex tokens. So if for any of you guys want to cash out your sex tokens and just sell them into the open market, the best place to sell sex is on Solidly. LOL. You could sell like 10 sex tokens for Phantom, and then this is the best rate you're going to get for this. I've looked everywhere. This is where you swap it here, and you're still getting it ripped off a little bit, but just kind of is what it is. You can sell it here, and then you take your wrapped Phantom on Spooky Swap. You'll get the whole unwrapped version of it right off the bat. So if you had 47 wrapped Phantom and you sell it on Spooky Swap, you'll get 47 Phantom unlocked, free and clear on Spooky Swap. So there's no impermanent loss selling or any slippage selling, unwrapping Phantom on Spooky Swap. So pretty sick. If you're trying to sell solidly, if you're trying to sell the Solidly token, right, it actually kind of sucks to sell it on here. The best place that I found to sell the Solid token, it's more of a two-step sort of thing, is actually BTOVENX, because there's an incentive pool called Solid Beats. There's $1.5 million worth of this. So what you could do is actually swap your Solid token and sell it for Beats on here, and then you get the least amount of slippage for your token. So you could sell 10, and then basically $36.96. So yeah, you're actually getting a little bit extra here and stuff. So you could actually sell solid tokens for Beats here and not incur too much of an impermanent loss. Let's go a little higher than that. Yeah. So it's almost not much impermanent loss for a decent amount of selling in terms of like solid for Beats, and then you can sell, and Beats is very liquid, and you can sell Beats. Like you can sell a lot of Beats into Phantom. It's pretty liquid in terms of what's going on there, right? Like let's just say you have even if you were to sell 10,000 Beats, right, which is $10,000. The impermanent loss on $10,000. I mean, in terms of like the slippage, the slippage from selling Beats, 10,000 Beats, which is basically $10,000 into Phantom, is just you're losing about roughly $80, which is not bad on slippage. Versus if you try to do the other clusterfuck ways, you'll lose more money on Solidly. So these are the best ways that I found to, like, if you're trying to cash out, you're better off selling your Solidly on Beats, and then you're able to sell like sex on Solid, and then unwrap the Phantom, your wrapped Phantom onto Spooky Swap. This is how I was able to take profits and kind of save up a bunch of wrapped Phantom. So that's kind of what I've been doing. But so let me give you the final sort of strategy. So obviously, if like in terms of the best pool for sex, it is this pool. If you're trying to earn the sex tokens, if you're getting it for free already, and you're like, yeah, fuck it, I'll sell half. Now I'm selling sex token, and now I have 50% of Phantom. Which, hey, I have Phantom now, cool, and I'm earning more yield, so it's not the worst thing in the world. And eventually, if you grow this to like maybe $5,000 over a certain period of time in terms of money, and then you're earning this APR over a year, maybe it goes up or down, you could earn an additional $5,000, $6,000 in extra sex and solid rewards over a year. So it's kind of like, hey, why not? You can get the money there or not, it's up to you. I wouldn't recommend this one right now. You can do this one. I did it for a while only because the APY was high. Now it's pretty low. Now I don't see much of a point of doing this one. What I've been doing is what I do is like I lock up about personally. I save up about 50% of my solidly to then lock it up. The other 50%, I'm actually uh, I'm putting it into solid beats. And I'm basically what I'm doing is I'm selling half of my solid beats. I'm selling my solid tokens into beats, basically. And then it allows me to have more beats and more solid, and I'm earning, 400% APR that gets paid out in more solid and beats, which is pretty cool. So it's just a cool way to just like, oh, I want to hold more beats and solid. So it's kind of like shooting two birds with one stone. But for some of you guys, right, who are just trying to like get cash right now, it's just you can sell all the tokens right now and just into cash, and why not? Get more Phantom, and then you can sell the Phantom for USDC, basically. So that's pretty much it on solid finance and all that other stuff. The only thing I wanted to talk about right now is like the Reaper farm. Let me let it load. So the Oath token was just launched, so you can buy it on Spooky Swap. It's about it's about 54 cents, which is a pretty good price. In terms of anyone who bought with, like, let's just say you bought with Magic Cats, right? You recently bought with Magic Cats. Basically, for every share that you bought, basically one share cost about I think it was like 85% of a Phantom for one share, if I remember correctly, because we got a 15% discount with Magic Cats. Every share that you purchased is worth about 8.2 Oath tokens. So in a way, we basically were buying Oath tokens for about roughly, if I got my numbers correct, 15 cents. Might be a little less than that. So right now we're in uber profits right now. Anyone who bought with Magic Cats, who we unlock our coins probably in 30 days or less, we're right now in about a 3 to 4x on the Oath token current price, which is really good. So anyone who bought that IDO, shout out you guys. We're in profits, baby. VC gang, shout out. So yeah, so it's pretty nice. So obviously you were allowed to buy 200. You were allowed to buy 225 shares with each Magic Cat. So I'll just do the math on one Magic Cat if you ended up buying. Okay. So if 225 shares you could buy, right? So I'm gonna multiply that by 8.2. That means for every Magic Cat, you basically got 1,845 Oath tokens. At the time, I think the price of Phantom was about $1.50. So let's just call it each Magic Cat you spent about 200 Phantom on this times 1.5 equals $300. So you're up 3.3x on your capital from those initial purchases from the Magic Cats at the current price. Yeah. So we price positive, baby. We're in the money. Yeah. That's good. That's good. So shout out Pussy Gang. Shout out Pussy Gang. And yeah, it feels good. Feels good. That's pretty cool. So yeah, and so much coming down to so what I personally did is this is what I want full FYI. I sold some coins, as well as I also sold I took some of my profits from selling SEX and some of my solid tokens at the higher prices, and then I bought a bunch of Oath, and then I deposited them onto Reaper. So right now I'm currently earning on something on Solidex, which is Phantom Oath. So basically, you just go on Spooky Swap. It's just like adding liquidity. You buy a certain amount that you're going to buy. You sell half of it. You add the liquidity. You fuse it together, and then I'm sorry, no, I'm sorry. You buy it here. You split it up, and then you have to take it to Solidly to actually do this, which is so you have to. It's let's look at Oath. So here, I'll show you guys how to find it. I'll give you guys this the alpha stream right here. So the big streams. So Volatile. So when you buy it on Spooky, you split it up, 50-50, and then you take it to solidly, and then you provide liquidity, add liquidity, and then you go oath, and doesn't show up, motherfucker. But basically, you would go oath, and then you would also go phantom, and then you fuse it together, and then you would take it onto Reaper and deposit it in here, and you're earning 2% per day, which is pretty great. So what's so cool about this is like I'm earning more oath tokens and I'm earning phantom. And if I get in permanent loss either which way, I'm like, oh no, I have more phantom. Oh no, I've got more oath. I don't care, because personally, I was like, I'm just trying to stack both. Like, it's the sort of thing. It's like if I get a little impermanent loss and I end up with more phantom, I'm like, oh fuck, man, I'm just such a wrecked pleb now. I mean, like, what am I gonna do with my life, But that's basically the strat that I'm personally doing. So I've got all my phantom oath right here on this, and normally, like, I don't recommend using repothecators and all that jazz. I do personally trust. I do myself trust Reaper. But it's the sort of thing is like I like having tokens in their natural habitat. So obviously, if the Reaper token, the Oath token is in its natural habitat, which is on Reaper farm, which is what its protocol is. So I'd say, hey, it's if it's going to be anywhere, it's really safe anywhere. It's going to be on the main place that you can earn yield on it. So, and this is the highest yield you can earn on Oath right now. So I'm stacking phantom and I'm stacking oath as well. So I'll just leave it here, forget about it, and then later on when shit starts getting hot for it, it's pretty cool. So this is another interesting thing too, because right now you have oath token and phantom, but you're earning this APR comes from selling sex and solid token on the open market. So this is actually causing positive price action on phantom token and the oath token. So this is actually kind of hold the price up. So hopefully, we get like we're $1, $2, $3 plus on oath, and then we're up mega big when our tokens unlock. But obviously, the magic, the long, once we start getting really out there, some people might start dumping their tokens and stuff like that. So as long as the price of oath doesn't go below 20 cents, we're in profit. We're at break even and stuff. So it kind of is what it is with oath and stuff. And there's gonna be more stuff coming out and everything. So I'm stacking oath right now because it's a long-term play for me. Plus, yeah, you can play with some of these other ones. So let me explain why this is. Oh shit, I almost forgot about this. So yeah, let me show you why this is so solidly and all this stuff is so cool for everything else. So let me remove all this stuff. All these yields are getting paid in these tokens, and these tokens are essentially getting dumped, and this is causing positive price action on all these tokens. So let me tell you why this is so insane for this price right here. There's 129 million fucking dollars on Wrapped Phantom Tomb. Who the fuck has 100 million? So I would legitimately say 100 million of this, 80 million of this is Harry Ye. So what's going on is Harry Ye is now got another. So he already earns a decent amount of Wrapped Phantom and Tomb and stuff. So rewards. So it's like him earning more T-shares, like whatever, basically, right? But now this has given him income. So now he's on $100 million. He's earning 100% APR. So what's going on is he's earning an additional $30 million, $40 million a year in revenue that he can use to prop up the T-shirt price or the peg or just rug farm everything. So this is actually, so a lot of projects. If you notice some of so I'm gonna go by TVL. There's some projects probably paying their fucking bills right now off of this. Look at this. So obviously that's more yield farmers. But let's look at this. So Boo right now, I wouldn't be surprised. You've got Spooky Swap, a couple $20-30 million over here just putting money in their piggy bank. You've got let's look at page 10. I wouldn't be surprised. There's a lot of projects that are probably putting their treasury in here, some of their treasury, and just yielding off coin, because most coins in their treasuries, they can't really sell them on the open market. So a lot of people's treasury coins are kind of dead weight. So this is like, holy fuck, we can make money on our coins. Yay. And then this is what some of the people are doing. Right. So this is why this shit's so cool, because it causes all the main ecosystem tokens and on Phantom to do well overall. And then this is why like the Phantom token's been doing pretty good. So pretty fucking tits. And this is before like really what's it called, VDAO is really up and running, as well as like the Vev or whatever the fuck this shit's called. VDAO is really out right now. in terms of yield farming. So we got 2 other farms, and then so what's going on is this is causing a ton of income. And what's going on too is I would suspect about 30-40% of this money is actually coming from guys, Andre's people who were originally from like the basically Ethereum people who are trying to buy up the ecosystem. So what's going on is like we're essentially dumping these tokens on Ethereum OGs in a way, and we're using that money to then prop up our shitcoin bags. So that's what's going on in Phantom, you guys. That was a lot of research and sort of a breakdown of what's kind of going on, and it's kind of a state of the union for Phantom of what's really going on. I took a lot of notes for all this stuff, and hope you guys really appreciate this this content stuff. This has been the fucking alpha. There's a lot of alpha in this for some of you guys who didn't know about it, but be careful. Pick your strategy correctly. If you're going to buy into a certain pool or anything like that, you got to think. You got to look into what you're. Don't look at the APR. Look at like would I hold this token anyway? If the answer is yes, then you can make a sort of an investment into it because you want it to. If you just want to, if you already hold the tokens and you can just yield farm, then why not get the extra cash and just dump these shit coins? If you don't like Solid or SEX, just dump them and stack up that USDC because everybody thinks we're in a fucking bear market or whatever, and become that USDC maxi you've always believed in, and then have more capital basically for the bear market supposedly. But yeah, man. Well, and that's it, you guys.